Is this Frank?
This is Frank. How are you, Mo?
Well, I'm good, Frank. I'm just so happy to see you. I know it's been a rough time. Excuse my hair day. I'm having a bad hair day.
Okay, we don't have your video on yet. Let's see if we can get.
Oh, here, I'll start video. Now am I on?
There you go. Oh my gosh. I know we're probably starting a few minutes early here.
Well, I just wanted to make sure I could get on. So
Yeah, me too.
I came on a little bit early. We've got one person in the chat room, and it says Morning Mo.
Yeah, that's Jose Rodriguez. He's my command guy in the office that does everything.
That's great.
So you know what? I cannot thank you enough for doing this. When we talked originally, we had just started doing everything, and I've been working with the family. I've had a conversation with Kathy Nye, Rachel Tang, Jason Abrams, and the way you guys have mobilized around us is just I don't have words. It's just so amazing, and the fact that you're here with us this morning is just it touches my heart, and I really thank you so much. And my agents are just so awesome, and the family is so grateful. I bug them every day. I'm like, what do you need? What can I do for you? How can I help you? And luckily they have a bigger family, and they're all mobilizing around each other and helping each other out. But Tracy is my girlfriend who had a brain tumor, and KW Cares helped her out. They're going to work together, and she's going to help the family fill out all the paperwork and get all that going. So yeah, it's been a very busy last couple of days. So
Yeah, I'm sure it has been. Hi, Frank and Mo. Good morning, Frank. Good morning from Camarillo, California. And then I wrote to everybody and I said, I love you all and I'm so excited to be here. So I hope they all can see.
That's
the
awesome.
ones who are on. Looks like we have 1, 2, let me look. 34 participants so far.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna probably get over 50 as we start going here. So that's really awesome. That's really awesome. Well, this has been a whole new thing for me to deal with, uncharted territory. And so the thing that I felt is the best thing I could do is get into action and just start doing as much as I can, as quickly as I can. And the GoFundMe that we started on Friday is at over $8,000 right now. So that's going to be a good college fund for the 12-year-old and for the family. And it's going to be really, really good. And, I know I had some questions for you, and I know that a lot of this is unprecedented times for a lot of people, and having your value in the company because you've gone through things in the past that have a lot of similarities to what's going on now. And I always preach in my team meetings that adversity introduces you to yourself, and that tough times are where your greatness comes from. It's not like in the last 8 years we've had this amazing growth in numbers and profit and all this amazing stuff, but that's not where we grow. We actually, you had when, like you say, Keller Williams was grew out of hardship and tough times and adversity. And I remember that story, and it was just such an amazing story, and I think that's something that a lot of people need to learn today.
So do you want me to talk about it?
I would love for you to talk about it because it means so much, because a lot of people don't see the good things that are happening right now and what this could slingshot us out of in the future.
Well, first I want to give everybody an air hug. So here I am hugging you.
Think Mo Froat.
Do you feel it, everybody? That's your air hug. And what I love about an air hug is you end up squeezing yourself. So it gives you a hug too. So I just want you to know we are so, so sad that you have lost one of your own to Corona. And I want you to know that I called Eric's son, Josh, had a long visit with him, and he is blown away by the kindness you have shown him and that little girl, I think she's 12. And he raved about your office. He talked at length about how his father loved this office. He talked about the leadership Frank has shown. So I want to say I am so proud of you, and I'm so grateful you were there to start this GoFundMe page and to absolutely be involved with that family. So I'm going to give you a big kiss for what you've done and just tell you you're the best. Now, I'm going to talk about business a little bit. And I know it's kind of hard for some of you to switch from grief to business, but I'm going to ask you to give it your best. In the early days of Keller Williams, it was really rough sledding. In the early days, Princeton, Yale, Harvard, all the big guns wrote white papers about how, well, they didn't use this word, but how stupid we were for having such a ridiculous, silly model. Well, I knew the model would work. When Gary Keller accidentally found me and I learned about his model, I knew it would work. There was not one speck of doubt in my mind. And the reason is because in the real estate I had owned before, I profit shared on 2 levels. I hadn't certainly developed the model like he had, but we profit shared on 2 levels, and I saw the synergism that created. I also had an ALC. I didn't call it an ALC, but I knew that worked. And I saw his economic model and I flipped out over it because it appeared to me to be a model that was actually almost recession proof. I won't explain why I thought that. So I knew it would work. And yet, I would go fly to areas, and when I became CEO, I would fly to areas to meet people to possibly become regional directors of a region, and they would stand me up. I would go to what I call the big boy meetings, and they would see the little name badge on my coat or shirt or whatever I had on, and it said Keller Williams Realty, and they would literally turn around in the middle of a sentence and walk off because that's how stupid they thought we were. And so we forded rivers, we crossed streams, so to speak. We walked through dense, dark forests, so to speak, and we had arrows shot in our backs, so to speak, and we pulled those arrows out of our backs, and we were truly pioneers, the people who started this company. And it was hard. A heck of a lot harder than it's been for you. Because see, we grew to eventually become the top real estate company in the world. The largest, most units, most volume, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been easy for you, but guess what? You are now pioneers because you're fording new streams and you're crossing new rivers, and you are absolutely walking through deep, dark forests that have trees the likes of which we have never seen before. The DNA of Keller Williams is a pioneer spirit. And let me tell you the main characteristic of a pioneer. A pioneer never, 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 never quits. Got it?
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, I want to talk to you about what I've learned through this coronavirus. I've learned that everybody has had fear. They have it now, or they did have it. But if any agent tells you they didn't have some fear, they're telling you a fib. No, a lie. Because we all have it. And what fear does to you, like the fear you must have felt and experienced when you found out one of your own you lost from corona, like the fear you may have experienced because, oh, I only have so much money in the bank and will it feed my family during this period? The fear you had when business was closed down, the fear you had that you wouldn't be able to teach your kids and make your real estate calls and have a family life. Listen, there's been a lot of fear, and I had a lot of fear because I've done a good job of saving money, but I've got 3 offices to support that I have ownership in. I have a region to bolster, and because I'm an owner in the international company and I'm Gary's partner, I have an international company to bolster. And I just pray every day that my money will stretch and I'll be able to do what I need to do for everybody. So we've had fear. Now I want to tell you how I overcome fear. This may not be your way. I just want to share it with you, and hopefully it will be meaningful to at least some of you. There are many ways to overcome fear, but this is the way I overcome fear. I lean into my faith, and I want to encourage you, whatever you are, whether you're a Muslim, you're Jewish, you're a Christian, you're Hindu, you're Buddhist, whatever you are, lean into your faith, because I'm sure there are affirmations and information that can help you fight this fear, because fear totally paralyzes you. And you got to get fear out of your head. You just have to, or you won't be able to feed your family and do what you need to do. So there's a verse I learned when I was a little bitty kid. And I can't even remember now for sure where it's from, but I think it's from the 2nd book of Timothy. I'm not positive. But it says, God has not given you a spirit of fear. Well, I wonder where that thought of fear came from. Well, I bet y'all can guess. He has not given you a spirit of fear. He has given you a spirit of power. That means confidence. That means fire in your belly to do everything you can for this family in your market center, to do everything you can for your sphere of influence, to do everything you can. Fire in your belly. Now, he also says, I have given you a spirit of power and of love. You know what that means because you've experienced love from time to time in our own Keller Williams family. Here's the biggie. He says, I have given you a spirit of power, love, and of a sound mind. Now let's talk about a sound mind. In Quantum Leap, you learned about it as mindset.
Yep.
Mindset. And I want you to know that there are 4 truths that I want you to write down today about mindset. Truth number 1, by changing your mind, you can change the outer aspect of your life. By changing your mind, you can change your circumstances, is a simple way of saying it. By changing your mind, you can change your circumstances. Now, I want to tell you about a Michigan agent. This guy from Michigan, and I don't know his name, but I heard it on one of my Zoom calls, and it just made me so excited. I just nearly screamed. I was so excited. He had been thinking in his mind that he couldn't get listings in the midst of this mess. And when he realized he had to change that thought, he started doing an affirmation that says, I can get listings during the shutdown. I can get listings during the shutdown. He said it over and over and over. And every time he said it, he pictured 10 in his head. He started calling his sphere of influence, and I don't know what he said, but in a period of just a matter of a few days, he got 11 listings, never looked at one single house. You know, they did it through FaceTime or something. Yeah. And he emailed the listing agreements. They signed and scanned them back. Now, the agents who have the right mindset are doing so well, you wouldn't believe it. Unfortunately, we only have a few thousand who have the right mindset. We have a lot of thousands who are sitting there paralyzed with fear, and they think they can't do business during this time. So let me tell you some more stories before I give you truth number 2. There's an agent in Ocala, and she shared this with me on the Zoom call. She decided she would make her first call to all of her sphere of influence that she knew really well. And it was like, 200 calls or something like that. And she said, you guys, I'm just concerned about you. Tell me if you're doing okay. And they'd talk, and then she'd say, if there's anything you need, you call me. And she no more than hung up when this woman called her and said, I am desperate for someone to go get my prescriptions. So she looked at the woman's address and realized she was in Ocala. Now, the agent was in Orlando, and so the woman was over an hour away. And she said, I'm on it, hung up the phone, and because she didn't have all this fear in her head, and because she had the right mindset, a thought flashed into her head, and this thought was, why don't you find a Facebook Uber group in Ocala? So she calls somebody in the Uber group in Ocala. She says, how close are you to my client? 2 minutes. How close are you to the drugstore? 3 minutes. Long story short, that woman got her medication in less than 30 minutes. It was just amazing. Let me tell you, the bond between that woman and that Keller Williams agent is there forever. She thinks that agent is brilliant because of what she did. Now, I want to tell you a personal story real quick, and then we'll go to number 2. I had surgery about 4 weeks ago on my sinuses, and one of the things I have to do is do that sinus rinse 3 times a day, and oh, it's a mess. Anyway, I never dreamed that distilled water would be hoarded. I knew they hoarded the toilet paper, and I still can't figure out why. I just can't. I guess they think we get diarrhea when we're in lockdown. I don't know. So I ran out of water, and the guy that helps us, he went to every store everywhere for a day and a half, and all the shelves were bare. One of our Keller Williams agents found out I needed water. She called her sphere of influence, the people she knew really well, and told them she had an elderly friend. I got called elderly. I mean, I'll be 83 2 days before Red Day. I guess I am elderly, but I wish she'd have said I had a friend. Anyway, she said she had an elderly friend who needed distilled water for medical purposes, and is there any way they could help out? Do they have any extra at home? Some did, some didn't. And she drove for one entire day picking up all that water. And you all, I ended up with 103 gallons of water on my front porch.
Wow.
Isn't that a
That's
great
crazy.
story?
That's
That's
an
just the greatest
amazing
story. Can you imagine what would happen to your GoFundMe page if you called every one of your sphere of influence and you loved on them first? You know, how are you doing? Some of you, I'm sure, already have done that, but I bet some of you haven't. And you told the story of losing one of your own, and that you set up a GoFundMe page, and you said to them, if you could donate 50 cents or $1,000 or anything in between, it would help us so much get the money we need to help them with medical bills, with funeral bills, and a college fund for the daughter. I'm telling you, your people are sitting at home bored to death because they're sick of Facebook and they're sick of Netflix, and they want to help, but they're locked down. Well, this they could do. They could help someone by digitally. So I really want to challenge you to do that. Your fund would grow from 8,000 to probably 20,000 or more if you all committed to do that, because people want to help. Oh my goodness, they want to help. 103 gallons of water. Some of those people went to stores and happened to be there when the trucks came with the new delivery. So you see that would help your little family so much. And then of course we're trying to make sure we can do it, help some through KW Cares. So, I challenge you to do that. And I just pray you'll take up my challenge. And then one other story, a market center loved 2 restaurants in their little community. And so all the agents on their team meeting, their virtual Zoom team meeting, they decided they wanted to save these 2 restaurants. So it just became a mission with them, because the 2 restaurants they loved, the owners had told them they were going to have to shut their doors forever in 2 weeks if they didn't get more business. So they called their sphere of influence and told them about these 2 restaurants, how they were trying to save them. And they asked, would you consider the possibility of doing the drive-in thing and picking up food once in a while for your family, and let's save these 2 neighborhood restaurants. And they had so much business at these restaurants that the owners called Keller Williams and said, We don't have a clue what you're doing, but whatever it is, keep it up, because everybody who comes through says Keller Williams sent us. There's just so much good you can do through your precious, wonderful sphere of influence.
You're
And
absolutely
I want you to
right.
tag on a little piece of business on one of those calls. After you do your thing, say, you know what? We've got the cutest little 3-bedroom, 2-bath house you've ever seen in our listing inventory, whether it's yours or somebody else's. And I'm trying to find some grandmothers and grandfathers who have little grandchildren. And I'm going to encourage them to buy this listing because it would be a precious rental property. And then when that little tyke grows up and goes to college, they can sell it and put the money in the college fund. I know 4 agents who've had over 20 sales this month just doing that. And what they do is say, I'm looking for grandmothers and grandfathers. And the agents are giving them names. And the sphere of influence is giving the agent names. And in some cases, the sphere of influence is saying, well, I might be interested in that. And they're selling houses through virtual tours. You all can make a good living for your family and help your family that you lost if you'll just get your mindset straight. Now, the second truth on the mindset is there's a direct correlation between what you see in your head and what your mind believes to be true. Now, see those agents who are making money off of selling investment properties during this time and selling them virtually? They had to believe in their mind, their mindset had to be, they had to see inside their head that that could really happen. And it's happening all over the place for these guys that are doing it. Because here's the reason why it works. Because what your mind believes to be true causes you to have adrenaline in your body to go do the things you need to do to make it happen. That adrenaline doesn't even flow when fear's in your head. But if you get rid of that fear, then it makes your body make adrenaline, and then your mind kind of tells you, well, I need to call my sphere of influence. And I really believe if I do, I'm going to get me some business. And there's a jillion ways you can do this. Keller Williams International sent you, and I hope you have it, Frank, sent you a sheet about refinance. Do you have that one? If you don't, contact your regional director and then send it to all your people. And here's how most people are using it. They're calling their sphere and they're saying, do you have any friends who are running out of money? You wouldn't say that to your sphere of influence. But you can say to them, do you have any friends or relatives that are running out of money? Because I've got this wonderful refinance checklist that I would love to go over with them and teach them what the steps are to get some cash. Because everybody's going to run out of money at some point, and one of the best ways to get cash is if you have equity in a home, to pull some of that equity out, and then you'll have cash for your family till things start popping again.
Yeah.
And what's happening to the people who are using that is a lot of people are saying, well, my nephew is running out of money. And yes, there's a couple down the street who's running out of money. And then you say, would you be willing to call them and get their permission for me to call? And then see, you can say, well, Mrs. Sphere of Influence asked me to give you a call that you might be interested in this information. And that way it's all set up for you and when you make the call. And then a lot of the people they're calling in their sphere of influence want to know what that checklist is, because they're reaching the point where they need some cash. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people are running out of money for food. Did you see the picture on TV of the food line at a food bank somewhere? I don't remember where it was from. It went on for blocks and blocks and blocks, and nobody was standing 6 feet from each other. I mean, it was just a solid line of people. I nearly fainted when I saw it. So you would be doing everybody a favor if you used that little sheet and you made those calls. Now, truth number 3. When you have alligators nipping all around you, they're trying to bite your feet, they're trying to bite your legs, they're trying to reach up and bite your hands and your arms. When you have alligators all around you, it is the hardest thing in the world to picture something positive in your head. I know, because I've been there hundreds of times. But one example I want to share with you. In the late 80s, we live in the oil patch because Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Louisiana, that's what we call the oil patch. And a lot of oil companies are in our communities. And I love oil companies, and I get real mad when people say bad things about them that aren't true. So remember, I'm an oil patch girl. I grew up in the oil patch, and we had boom and bust all the time, because in oil companies, you'll make $1 billion some year, then you'll go 3 years and not make a dime. That's just the way the business is. It's just a real risky business. But these oil companies do wonderful things for the community and give thousands of scholarships to kids to go to college. When they're making money, in the years they're not making money, they can't do it. But anyway, we lost all of our money in the late 80s because oil went down to $8 a barrel. It was controlled by OPEC, a foreign group of oil people. And so our economy totally crashed. It was almost, the economy back then was almost like coronavirus, except they didn't lock us up in our houses, you know. It was awful. So we lost everything except our house. We almost had to file for bankruptcy. It was a tough period for us. Well, let me tell you the good news. It's losing all of our money and having the economy crash in both Texas and Oklahoma set up a set of circumstances whereby Gary Keller accidentally, it was really a God thing, but he accidentally found me, that lucky guy. I know you're laughing when I say that. He was really lucky to find me. And now the best thing that ever happened in our life was losing all of our money in the late 80s, because it set up the circumstances that caused him to find me. I won't go into that long story. But it was hard during that period of time when the alligators were all around us. And I would try to think positively and see a good picture in my head. And I would go around saying, we are going to build back better than before. And the first 1,000 times I said it, I didn't believe it. But I said it so many times, I finally started believing it. Do you get my point? It's like if you act enthusiastic, you will be enthusiastic. That is true, because if you'll hang in there and act enthusiastic for a couple of hours, you'll look up and think, oh my goodness, I really am enthusiastic. So you have to say it over and over and over and over and over until you finally start believing it. And I started really believing it, and Gary Keller comes along. Now, you're going to be able to say the same thing about coronavirus and all you've been through as a little family in your Keller Williams office. When this is all over and you're a year out, you're going to realize that something wonderful came out of it. I don't know what it will be. I have no idea what it will be for each of you, but there will be something, because in every adversity, there is an opportunity.
100% believe that. 100% believe that. I remember when I went to FSO for my first time ever, and I met Dick Dillingham, and Dick told me, he said, every time somebody asks him, how's he doing? He says, fantastic. And then somebody said, why do you always say fantastic? He goes, why would you want to be anything else? So ever since then, if anybody knows me, they say, how's Frank? Frank's fantastic. I'm always fantastic. The only time I haven't been fantastic was after I found out about Eric, and I had to work through my own little mindset issues, but
right.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And one of the things that you say that I think is really important is your mindset. Your mindset is your servant, not your master. And I think that's really important to embrace.
That's truth number 4.
I got it myself.
And I'm so glad you said that, because you see, your mind is just part of you. Like your nose is part of you, and your ears are part of you, and your feet are part of you. Well, your mind's just part of you. And you cannot allow it to be your master. It has to be your servant. You have to tell it what to think. And it's an exercise that you have to do every single morning of this coronavirus mess. You have to get up and say, okay, mind, here's what we're going to think today, all day. Call my sphere of influence. Call my sphere of influence using one of the creative ideas that you hear about or that your own group comes up with. I've given you enough today for you to make at least 4 or 5 calls to your sphere. And I want you to know that I love to send flowers. I probably won't do it anytime soon because I got to watch my pennies. I won't be able to do it as much. But last year, if you would have looked at the end of the year, I spent a boatload of money sending flowers. If I hear about an agent who had a death, I send flowers. If I don't know about it, I don't send them, of course. I send flowers to congratulate people and on and on. And there's a florist in Oklahoma City that tells me I'm his top client. And I believe I am, based on how much I have spent. And we live in Texas, in Austin, half-time. And I have a florist there. And they both tell me, ooh, they love me because I'm such a great customer. I also have a restaurant here where I take Keller Williams people, and I spend a lot of money. And I have one in Austin. It's the restaurant in the Driscoll Hotel, if you want to know which one it is. And you just can't believe how much money I've spent. Not now, but in the past. I want you to know not one person from either of those flower shops, not one person from either of those restaurants have made a call to me. Not one. And I am their best customer. And I got to tell you, you precious little sweet people, I'm ticked off. And I'm thinking about getting me a new florist in each city and a new restaurant in each city and saying, look, if we ever have another lockdown and you don't call me, I'm going to dump you like I've dumped these guys. Now, here's the truth. Your people feel the same way about you. You don't call them a bunch of times during this corona, they are going to dump you because they want people to call them. And I'll guarantee you, they're not getting calls from any vendor they're working with. And the real estate agent can look so good when you check in on them at least a couple of times a week. And at first, just love on them, ask them to help in your GoFundMe, ask them to help save a business or whatever it is you all do. And then tag on, have you thought about this cute little 3-bed, 2-bedroom, three-bed, 2-bathroom house that's cute as the bug? You know, then you kind of move into business things. It's just amazing how much business you're going to get. And that's going to prepare you when this hopefully comes to an end. And those who've done this are going to make a ton of money on the back end. You don't do this, then you're really going to suffer.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So you make that mind obey you. Because if you haven't been making all these calls and you haven't had fear out of your head where you're thinking of creative ways to do business in a lockdown, we've got some agents who've increased their business during the lockdown. And then it's because you're not making your mind behave itself. Do you get it, everybody? Please get it. Because I love you and I care
absolutely right.
about
And the one thing that I'm telling my agents is that being isolated, creates a whole bunch of different mindset issues. And the best way to help yourself is to actually talk to other people. Go out and help somebody else that may be in that same situation as you, and you're actually helping yourself as well.
Where exactly are you all?
We're in the northern Los Angeles County area in the San Fernando Valley. So
are you a town kind of by yourself, or are you a suburb of LA?
We're a suburb of LA. We're pretty big. We have about 2 million people in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay, so you're in the middle of a huge, well, that makes it all the better for you. I mean, you got a lot more people to call, and when you start asking for names of people that might need help on refinance or whatever you end up doing, see, you've just got this huge area to draw from. You are so blessed because there are so many people out there who've lost their jobs and they have got to sell their house because they can't afford the payments anymore. I know one of our agents told me that there was an earth moving business in his town, and he just sold that guy $400,000 house, and the guy called him yesterday and said, I'm going to have to close my door. If they don't get business open, I'm going to have to close my doors forever in 2 weeks. And he said, Shelby, you have got to get this house back on the market if I have to do that. Now that's happening all over the place.
Yep. But it's only happening if you're having conversations with your people. And
yeah, if you're not talking to them, you're not going to know.
100%. And I mean,
Shelby called him he gave him what I call the care call, the first one, the
yeah,
love call. You know, how in the world are you doing? And I'm worried about you. What about your equipment? Is it moving? You know, I cannot understand why he can't finish building the road because he's all by himself, or his men are all by themselves alone in those big machines. They don't see anybody, they don't interact with anybody. So I'm really getting frustrated because I want him to open up business for the kinds of, at least the kinds of businesses that don't have any interaction.
yeah.
And there are hardware stores and other really essential businesses where the people are calling and they're putting whatever it is that needs to be repaired at the front door. Then they get back in their car, then the hardware people go out and pick it up and fix it. You know, I mean, they're figuring it out how to do business when they're locked down.
Absolutely.
They
I mean,
might get in trouble if a policeman saw them, but I'd go fight for him, frankly.
absolutely. I mean, we're coming into a new world, and our mindset is what's going to separate us from how we move forward. And one of the things, I'm going to do a video for my agents later today, and I'm going to say, listen to 10 to 20 different agents that are actually doing business and take a little bit from each one of them, because something that they're doing is going to work for you, and just keep moving forward. And, you know, one of my best quotes that I ever is never, 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 never quit. Just never quit. And then
Winston Churchill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I just know that these ideas work because I'm shocked at the amount of business that's going on in areas where they're totally locked down. Let me give you one example real quick. You ought to get her on the line for for one of your team meetings or whatever it is you do, Frank. She lives in New Jersey. If any of you were at the cultural summit last year at Mega Camp, you saw her because she shared the stage with me at the cultural summit. That's Vanessa. And I'll send you, Frank, if you'll email me, I'll send you her phone number and information. Okay. But she lives in New Jersey, and she was thinking, how in the world can I do business when they won't even let us out of our houses? You know, they're scared of being arrested if they walk in the front yard practically. But you know how bad it is in New York and part of New Jersey. So she cleared her head of fear. So she had a head that didn't have any fear in it. And she started affirming, I can do business from people in New York during this time. And suddenly a friend who lives in New York called her and said, we are moving out of this place as soon as we can. Can you get our apartment on the market? They own their apartment in New York. And can you start looking for a place, you know, looking through the MLS to find us some places to look at by virtual tour in New Jersey. We're getting out of here. And that created this massive aha in her head. And she's working the people in New York, and she's got so many clients lined up who want to move out of New York because they don't want to be that close to people, you know, in proximity in these big tall apartment buildings. She's got a team, so she's got people that can handle them, but it's amazing what she's done. So
I'm gonna reach out to her. Actually, one of the cultural ambassadors is in my office, Jesus Aguilar, and he said he knows Vanessa. So I would love to touch base with her and get her with my office to talk a little bit. That would be awesome.
Oh, that is just incredible. Just incredible. It's the Aguilar Group. Is
Yep.
that how you say his name?
Yep. Yep.
Uh, well, she's amazing, and she would be a great one to encourage you, because Frank and I just want everybody to get off your sweet little duffs and get busier than heck. Just get busy.
I mean, I've
Because
gotten out of my comfort zone. I've gotten out of my comfort zone to talk to all the other owners of other real estate companies that are out there. The people that I'm actually recruiting from, I called the owners and said, listen, I had one of my agents pass away, and I would really love it if, you know, if this were to happen to me, this is what I would want you to do. And I've gotten some of the top companies in my area, their owners, to contribute to our fund. And I think that was out of my comfort zone, because it's like, I'm literally taking agents from these people, and now I'm going to ask them to contribute, and it's all mindset. So when I did that, you know, I had Joe Alexander, which is one of the biggest offices in our area, one of the most powerful offices in the area, give a very substantial donation to us. And, you know, all we have to do as agents is, you know, get out of our own way for the most part, and we can be as successful as we want to be.
Well, I'll tell you, in the absence of fear, creativity flourishes.
Yep.
You'll think of ideas that you never dreamed you could think of. And when you do, go to the mirror and look at yourself and say, I just can't believe I thought of that. This is just so exciting, and brag on yourself. But right now I'm seeing, the Ohio Valley. Another one you need to get on the phone is Press McKissick.
Press, yeah.
Linda McKissick's son, and he's the regional director for Ohio Valley. They are recruiting like you have never seen in your life, and they're getting fabulous agents. And Frank, you need to get him to give you some scripts that he's using. And then I'm sure your ALC and your teams and other agents in your market center are really interested in building their downline, because it is amazing what that kid's doing. And how old is he? He's real young. He's just a kid. And my word, on every regional director's call, I just can't wait to find out what else Press McKissick has done. And on our call yesterday, somebody in the chat room gave him a script. He texted two of his team leaders and said, go try this script and tell me what happened. They ended up with 18 appointments in the course of about 2 hours. So I don't know what the script was, because I couldn't find it in the chat room. The chat room was so big. But it was just wonderful. And that would help your people. And because you've kind of become my little favorite office, because you've actually suffered from coronavirus. And I'm just determined that you're going to do good. I am determined that Frank's Market Center is going to be outstanding in the region, and that your beloved Eric did not die in vain.
No.
That it has caused you to go to work to help that GoFundMe page and to feed your family and to get positioned where you make more money than you need so you can help a lot of other people. That's what the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book is about. It's about making more money than you need, because you must secure your family first. Get your own college funds set up. You know, make sure you have money for vacation. Make sure you have money to get in a better car if you need a better car, whatever it is you need. And then you just make you a boatload of money, and then you can help the other Eric families of the world that touch your heart in your synagogue or your mosque or your church or whatever it is you do when someone dies. there's a Muslim agent in New York. He emails me every day because he's asked me to pray for him. He and I like each other a lot. And so I'm a Christian, he's a Muslim, and you know, he asks me to pray for him a lot. And I just love him. And his whole family has had corona, and they've had one death in the extended family. But he makes more money than he needs. And there were 81 people from his mosque that died. And he has paid for the funeral of 10 of them because he had more money than he needs.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's what I want for you. I grew up in poverty, so I have had fire in my belly to make money more than I need ever since I was about 6 years old. So that fire is still there, you all. I have it for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I want to tell you before, because I know we're getting long here, I want to tell you one story before we wrap up, that when I first became a team leader, there was all these different things that I was trying to learn. And one of the things that I was trying to learn is how do I explain the WI4C2Ts and our value proposition? Because so many people would say negative things about the God, family, and then business because we were all God and all that stuff. And I remember seeing you talk, and I think it was in Vegas when I first became team leader, and the way you explained it, I just took that and I ran with it, and it has worked so perfectly for me in every way, shape, or form. Is that I tell people, God is whatever God is to you. I go God, family, then business, and God starts with you first. If you don't take care of yourself, then how are you going to be any good to your business or any good to your family? And I've taken that, and it has resonated with me, and it has resonated with the people that I've brought onto my office. And
see, we're not meant to stuff our religion down somebody's throat. All we're meant to do is love the other person. And if there's something you're not, if they're a Hindu or a Buddhist, you just love the heck out of them, because it's respecting. When you use the word God, it's just respecting whatever their God is. You know, our God for our Jewish agents and Christian agents is the God of Abraham, and it's the God of Jesus. But that doesn't mean that it's that God for a Muslim. It's Allah or whatever it is.
And I remember having this conversation with Eric.
And we show hospitality to them. And then it becomes a powerful, powerful magnet to attract like-minded people. Because when you get people that are not like-minded to the Y4C2Ts and to God, family, and business, it just doesn't ever work out, and they end up leaving. I mean, not everybody leaves for that reason, but you get my point. Yep. And when everybody's like-minded, even though we're very different, it's just a magnet, and it's powerful. I told the Yale MBA students year after year, because they'd always say, doesn't that get you a whole lot of trouble? Doesn't that get you in trouble when you say God, family, and business? I said, get your pencils out and write it down. I can't believe an Oklahoma farm girl's teaching you something. But when you bring like-minded people on board, and the Y4C2Ts and God, family, and business is the test to find out if they're like-minded. When you bring them on board and they buy into the mission, the purpose of Keller Williams Realty, you can move forward with power like you've never seen before. Because see, the smart schools, they couldn't figure out why we were growing in downturns.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you why. Because we have like-minded people who understand mindset, and they control their minds, and they don't let their mind control them.
That's right. And I found a lot of people, once I explained it to them, whether they were on board with it or not, they respected it. And
They respected it.
that was all we needed. And I went into business with people that were like, I have people that were atheists that came on and they're like, listen,
Yeah.
that's not my thing, but I respect that. And
It's
value
their
system
right
is
to
above
be
no other.
an atheist. One
Yep.
said that to me. He said, well, I'm an atheist. Is there any room in this company for me? And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, God, family, and business. And I said, well, say atheist, family, and business. I mean, it's whatever it is for you. If you
Yep.
don't want to say anything at all, say family, then business. But if you don't, if you don't worship something, and he said, oh, I get it. And he gave me a great big hug and he joined the company.
Mo, wow, I cannot thank you enough for this time that you've given us today. And my agents, I can already see in the comments and the things that they're saying. It's just that it's so touching and it means so much to me and to us that you're here and that you've done this for us. Just thank you so much.
Cheryl says, we love you, Frank. Thank you for loving us. Isn't that the sweetest thing in the world?
That is. I love Cheryl. She's awesome. She really is.
You love your people, Frank, and I'm so proud of you. I'm just so proud.
Thank you. Thank you. I will keep you updated on everything that happens with Eric, and I'm going to work with Rachel and Kathy and everybody, and I'm going to have some good things to tell you on how the family turned out and everything. So thank you so much for today. I really, truly appreciate your time.
Well, here's your air hug.
Air hug.
Give me one back. Give me one back, Frank. Oh, I love that air hug. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Have a great week.
The best, most wonderful group in the world. Here's the kiss. Bye.
Bye.